I just realized that I think I still had the Halloween music on. I gotta change that. What's up, guys? Whoa, jeez. How we doing? Gotta change. No more. It's Halloween no longer. Welcome back. Welcome back. Happy Monday. Happy November. First day of a new month. Fresh slate. Let's make it a good one. Morning, guys. All right. All right. What's going on, Margin? What's up, everyone? Buenos dias. New week, new month. Had a nice weekend. Appreciate that, John. Yeah, good weekend. What did I do? Watch some football. Watch the Giants lose. Went to dinner. Pretty relaxing weekend. Those are typically my favorite. Hope you had a good weekend as well. How's the house project going? You can see an update in the video I posted on Saturday. If you want to watch the video on Saturday, there's a little update on the house in that video. All right. So today, nothing much to report in terms of moves on the market. As you can see from our title of our live stream, we are in the NTZ still. So we have not moved anywhere in terms of overall markets since pretty much Monday of last week. So it's been an entire week inside of a range. And I have very much enjoyed the little bit of hands-off, waiting for the next move type of mindset. And I think that hopefully has helped some of you guys as well. Really nothing going on the ESNQ. Really nothing of major moves. We do have some more major earnings this week on AMD, ARM, and Qualcomm, which are three major semis. We do have other earnings as well, which we'll go over, but maybe those are some earnings that can get us outside of this range. There is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong with waiting this out, allowing this market to chop, allowing this market to show its hand. Right now, we're just not really seeing a hand, not really seeing a direction. And I just don't really feel like getting worked up and sweating. I don't feel like sweating inside of this range. So I'm just going to continue to wait, continue to be patient. If I see something on the intraday, maybe I'll take a small shot at it. But size has been decreased. Expectations have been lowered. And I will patiently wait for a direction to form. That is my game plan right now. And it will remain my game plan until we see some type of a direction form on the market. So I think that's a great way to approach today. There's no reason to think today is any different than last week. There's going to be some heightened emotions due to the new month and wanting to start it strong. But the reality is that nothing has changed. So why is there any reason to change the mindset? There isn't. All right. So my mindset heading into today is the exact same as it was last week. And it's that I really don't have any interest in trading inside of this range. So, of course, I want to start this week off or this month off very strong. But at the same time, I don't want to start it off weak because I'm getting all chopped up inside of a channel. Right. You haven't seen those. Those are legs from Amazon that I drilled into the IKEA drawer. Little DIY there. All right. So let's start with our earnings. Let me go ahead and pull that up. Press that like button as you guys head in. I'd appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. So let's go ahead and pull up the earnings calendar for this week. And here we go. So right here, you guys can see the earnings for this week. There are some interesting ones, some ones to pay attention to for sure. You can see right here today we have Palantir, which is, of course, a a very watched stock, and welcome to the 200 Club on Palantir. So that's a big one today. HIMS is also a big one today, something I have, been watching. I have very greatly reduced my HIMS position in the last 3 to 6 months. So still have some, but not as much as I once did. HIMS and Oklo are two positions that I've, been basically selling into the move, selling into the quietness. I'll wait to see maybe what happens on HIMS earnings, post-earnings. Maybe if there's a big dip, maybe it's an opportunity. If there's a big upside move, that sort of sparks a bigger move, then I'll look for that opportunity as well. But, just sort of been quiet, and I think my money is better served elsewhere at the moment. So been sort of de-risking that position. That's, my long-term position that I've been pretty open about for pretty much a year, almost a year and a half at this point. So Uber, Shopify, Spotify tomorrow morning before the open. AMD, big semiconductor. SMCI, big semiconductor. Qualcomm, big semiconductor. ARM, big semiconductor, right? So these are the four that I think will potentially move the market somewhat this week. Those are big semiconductor names, and I think they are important to pay attention to. Robinhood, also a big one on there. APP, a big one on there. McDonald's, of course. So you're starting to get into like the medium cap, just not our large cap tech names, but sort of that, middle of the road names that are, obviously AMD being a huge one, but you can see we're peppered with like Open Door, we're peppered with Dutch Bros, and we got the HIMS, and we got some of those smaller names starting to report. Upstart, another one. Pinterest, another one. Snapchat, another one. So you got a lot. Datadog, interesting there. You got a ton reporting this week. I think the main thing to watch for this week is how do the semis do. AMD, SMCI, Qualcomm, and ARM. Those are the four that I'm very interested in seeing how they report and seeing how this reacts, how the SMH reacts to these earnings, which will be a driver of the overall market for the semiconductors. So that's sort of my thing that I'm keeping eyes on this week, okay? In terms of the economic calendar, we really don't have much on the economic calendar this week, which is good. Happy to see that. Happy to not have to worry about every, second of news coming out. So you can see right here, economic calendar, pretty light. A lot of talking heads, as you can see, all these FOMC members. If we filter out the yellow events, you can see we really just have ISM today at 10 o'clock. We have ADP non-farm and ISM services PMI on Wednesday, and we have average hourly unemployment rate on Friday. So nothing major on the economic calendar, but we do have a lot of talking heads on Thursday. So pretty much the whole day is just talking heads. Consumer sentiment there, inflation expectations on Friday as well. So nothing, no FOMCs, no CPIs, earnings on the semiconductors. Let's go ahead and get started on the levels. So let's start with I'm going to start with the ES today because I want to go ahead and talk to you about something I am watching that's somewhat interesting and maybe a reason for the upside move, but still, have a little bit of a pending drop as well. So as you can see, we are very much just right in the center of our NTZ. Nothing has changed there. That is abundantly clear. So inside of this low at 68.40 and this high at 69.50, we have pretty much just channeled sideways for the entire week of last week. Not that interesting. The only thing that interests me here, I am slightly intrigued here, is the pullback to the Friday high. That was one of our looks for the pullback long on the S&P 500. So that is potentially interesting. The pullback long at the Friday high at 68.40 did happen on Friday at midday into close. You saw a very strong reaction off that 68.40. So my question here is, was that enough to find, that next our golden zone, which is right here back down to the 6,800 and the daily 20 SMA, right? You might still need to, drive lower into that low and then find that new long. That is very possible. But I am liking the fact that we at least got the pullback to the Friday high, and we did see a very bullish reaction off of that Friday high, as you can see right here from last week, right? Right here was your Friday high test, intraday around 1 o'clock on Friday, and there was a very nice reaction to that level into close. So that is interesting. I am intrigued by that being the pullback long potential. However, there is one spot that I would watch today, and it sort of is showing you already its importance, and that's the 50% line of this range. So if you draw a fib from Friday's highs to the all-time high, the 50% of the channel is literally exactly, pretty much like 2 points off, but I'm going to call it exactly at 6,900, which is a funny coincidence that the center point of this chop zone is also the major psychological level at 6,900, right? So as you can see right now, there is a rejection showing at 6,900, and it looks like to me these are your two halves, right? Here's your bottom half, and here's your top half. And whatever side you are, whether you're below or above 6,900, is sort of like that middle of the line decider of maybe that intraday action, right? So if you do reclaim 6,900 today, I would assume you do find some strength towards the 6,950. If you do stay under 6,900 today, I would assume you could see that drop again back to 6,840. So right now, I do see that rejection coming in at 6,900, and that is the exact middle point of the range. And it is an interesting spot to see what happens at. But at the end of the day, that is all within nothing. So how cute do I really want to get here? Not that cute, in my opinion, right? I'm not really looking to get that cute trying to trade off the 6,900 when I know it's just dead point center of this larger range. So yeah, not that interesting, but it is something you can be watching. You can see this morning we are definitely failing the 6,900. Does that mean that we're going to continue to fail it? No. Does that mean that the ES won't just find some kind of random pop at some point today off of some low here? That's definitely not the case, right? You could definitely see that. And so that is just classic of inside trading and channel trading, right? I have no idea when a 1 minute candle just decides to take all the shorts out and pushes you right back to 6,900. That is so possible at any moment today. So just not interested. I mean, moral of the story, not interested. If we come back down to 6,840, I would maybe look for that demand long. That's possible. If we push back up into 6,950, I'll look for that supply high. If we break above it, I'll look for the long break and retest. If we break below Friday's lows, then I'm definitely looking for the short into the 6,800 into the daily 20. But besides that, you won't find me trading aggressively inside of this range. That is abundantly clear. NASDAQ futures, it's the same exact story. You can see here on the NASDAQ, you have this nice 1 hour pullback, which does look to me like a flagging move. It really does. Like, I want to be bullish here. I'm being, to be honest, I definitely can see this being some kind of a downtrend break, breakout, double bottom low, curling higher, breakout move, new all-time highs. I see it, right? I'm not blind to that. That is very clear there. But man, oh man, right? Does the market love to humble you when you try one of these little downtrend breaks inside of chop, and then it just does something like this, and you're like, oh yeah, here we go. And then it goes like this. And then you're like, what the hell just happened, right? So it's interesting. It's tempting. I see it. Everyone sees it. It very well could be the right move. I can definitely see the potential of this little flag breakout. This is definitely what a lot of people are staring at, and they're like, oh, look at this, look at this flag right here. If we break that downtrend, we could get that squeeze. I see it, man. I'm not blind to that, but I do, damn it, I did not want to delete that. But I do know that there is very possibly just another rejection at the high, and, and another game inside the NTZ. So I'm going to be patient to wait to see what happens there. Not going to get all excited on trading some kind of a flag breakout inside of this exact sideways channel. I'll monitor it, and if it starts to look good, I'll get interested. But supply high, demand low, and pretty much hands off or very light trading inside of this range for me. If you break under Friday's or Thursday and Friday's low, there is a very nice short, and I mean very nice short in my opinion, back to 25.7 and possibly back to the 25.570. I would love to look to take advantage of this area for short side if we can get there. The thing you will notice about the NASDAQ futures is that it did not retest the Friday high, whereas the ES has, right? So if you look at the ES, you have retested the Friday high. If you look at the NASDAQ, the Friday high is down here. So you are still very much off that Friday high. You are about 2.25% off that Friday high. So very interesting. You know, we have not retested that at all, and the ES has. So there's your discrepancy for now. Okay? All right. So that's really that. Nothing has changed. Our game plan is the same. There is no mindset change for me this week. The mindset remains low activity, low size, hands off, not clicking the mouse 1,000 times inside of sideways consolidation. I have a few swing trades on that look pretty good this morning, Qualcomm and ASTS. Those are just some longer dated swings that I do like. But, on terms of 0 DTE, SPX scalping, yeah, I'm not getting involved in that inside of this range, right? So, yeah, that's really it. There's really nothing else to add there. QQQ, let's jump into that. You guys can see it's the same story. QQQ underneath 622 is where the fun and games begin. That would be your gap fill to the Friday high at 618. There is definitely an area of opportunity there. If we pull up the volume profile, you can see that that is very much apparent. So pulling up the volume profile, you can see where the volume shelf just sort of dies off, right? Look at these two volume areas right here, back down to here, and inside of those range, inside of those two large volume areas, you can see this very low decline in volume, which is this area and the pocket of opportunity, the poo. That is our poo zone, the pocket of opportunity. So right now you're just channeling here. You had a channel here. You have a gap up here. And I think eventually I would like to see us drop through the poo zone and give us a new long opportunity. But, that's not going to happen until you drop these lows, and those lows are not dropping. So, yeah, can't really look to trade it yet. Just have to stay patient and understand that that's there. I can see that very clearly under 622 into that 613. Friday high is at 618, which could be a hold spot. For now, pretty much just trading higher into the all-time highs here. Can you get a little trend breakout for the boys today? And maybe there's a little scalp on the trend breakout, maybe. But that upside supply is still very much there. So if we go to the SPY, you can see it's the same picture. The pullback long at 674 really is the A-plus trading opportunity. There's no question about it. You can see how perfectly this is already starting to line up, right? Look at these all-time highs. Look at these all-time highs. Look at the daily 20 right here. That daily 20 in a few days is going to be sitting right at 674. And if we can get some kind of a pullback to that level, this is going to create such an awesome trading opportunity. Do we get it? In my mind, I want to say yes. But as of now, we are not seeing that. So right now, we're just sort of sitting inside of this range. Here's your Tuesday and Friday low. Here's your Thursday and Friday low. Here's your Wednesday high. You can just see we're just right dead smack in the center of it. So really nothing to go off there. The only thing you can go off, in my opinion, on the intraday is 6,900. That's like the only interesting thing for me. Do we reclaim 6,900 today? Do we get above this Friday triple top right here? See this? 6,900 Friday, Friday, and Friday, and also here in the pre-market. If you see a flip back over that today, you could probably find an ES and SPY scalp, no doubt, right? To be honest, if you can see a nice flip over 6,900 today, I'm sure you're going to be able to catch some kind of a scalp, and I would be looking for that personally to see if I can catch something. But I will also understand that this is center point of the range, and I am looking for literally like a 10-point scalp, and I'm getting the hell out of there, right? So that's the only spot that I can tell you on the intraday that looks somewhat clean is the 6,900 on the ES, pretty much 50% of the range right there on the S&P 500. Gold just sort of sitting sideways. The price action on gold has slowed down, so I think you should slow down as well. A lot of people started trading gold on these drops, which were fantastic, but now you can see we have traded sideways for about an entire week. So a little bit cautious inside of there. Just has to pick a direction here, really. You have major demand lows at 3,900. You have these supply highs at 4,080 to 4,050, and I need to see something outside of that, man. Without that, I am not going to be trading gold inside of this chop zone. IWM pretty much just sideways. Nothing really to report here. The IWM is now stuck inside of a 249 to 240 channel. You can see right here, 249 highs, 240 demand lows, and you are now just stuck inside this channel. So nothing there on the IWM to report. On the SMH, you do have a nice looking pullback on the SMH today, I will say. This is the pullback that we were looking for right here. To 360, 358. That is a nice pullback look. You can see we're sort of building that flag. I could see that thesis for the flag breakout, right? Little break, retest, and breakout. I see it. That looks very possible today. Let's see if the SMH outperforms. The only thing I would be aware of on the SMH is that you are still above this very big volume void down below. Underneath 358, you can see this very big volume void down into the 353 Friday highs and back down into the 350. All right, so that is something to just be cautious of on the SMH. But the SMH does look strong this morning, and so do individual equities, individual semiconductor equities. They look strong as well. So that is something we could be keeping an eye out for. I was sort of under the impression that I wouldn't want to watch SMH this week because of the earnings, but with this being one of the only sectors showing some decent strength this morning, I am intrigued to see what happens on these prior to AMD, right, and ARM and SMCI and Qualcomm earnings this week. Okay? All right. We're going fast because we're just talking business here today. There's no time to waste. It's the same thing. Nothing has changed. No reason to get cute. Market has not shown us anything different than last week. Everything looks the exact same, and same thesis as last week. Okay? All right. So with that said, if you guys could, please press that like button. We have 2,500 people here. We have 700 likes. If we could get that closer to 1,000 likes, I'd appreciate that. Quick reminder, November 16th, we will be live streaming just like we're doing now, but we will transition into live trading. So pretty much from 8 a.m. to around 12 noon Eastern time, we'll be here on YouTube preparing and then live trading together. If you guys want to be a part of that, you have to make sure to register down in the description below. That is the first link down in the description below. Make sure to go ahead and register. It's completely free. And we do have some pretty cool giveaways on that. And it's not just merch. Trust me. It's not just merch. Going to be giving away some cool stuff there. So make sure to show up. Yeah, VIX had some elevation there last week, Bart. Saw that. Yeah, we'll see if it means anything. You know, just another possible pop in the VIX that just cools off. So we'll see. I mean, I think that really important spot will be like this 1920 area to see if it does get back above that. Right now, it's just sort of a little bit elevated, but nothing that's really making me concerned yet. But we'll see. Let's keep an eye on it. All right. So let's continue. Let's get into some equities. Tesla, really nice daily 20 pullback. Pretty much did exactly what we wanted last week. We said, okay, let's not long at the supply highs. Let's see if we get that daily 20 pullback. We got that pullback on Thursday. It created a nice long opportunity on Friday. Today, what I would love to see is a nice support above 450, right? Give me one more pullback to 450. Show me some strong buying. Give me one of these right here, a little dip into 450. Show me a nice higher low above that level, right? And then possibly look for that long again towards the 465. That is definitely something I'm watching here. 450 on Tesla, definitely something to keep an eye out for, in my opinion, today on a little pullback long. That will be a watch for me today. Not a star watch, right? And you guys know I've been putting some stars. I really only have 2 stars right now, but I might be able to add one more during the live stream. But Tesla is not a top watch for me today, but that is interesting at 450. NVIDIA is an interesting watch. I would say this does, again, sort of make you interested in that bull flag breakout, right? You can pretty much see that flag that's forming. The only thing that concerns me is the low volume void below still. I really don't like getting too aggressive on longs when there is a low volume area below. It's almost like a trap door, right? If that door drops, if that trap door opens, you fall straight to the floor, right? And that floor is down quickly. So a little bit difficult to, long in these trap doors down below, but hey, it is holding, so we should be watching it. There is some low volume below here between 201 and 195, which is the correct pullback long that I would love to see. This is like the A+ long for me. Pull back to this previous double top high here, curl back off that level. That would be incredible. Do we get that if the market is strong today? Probably not, but that is something you can look out for. Pretty much just the channel here with strong demand down below between 201, 203. You can see right here, right there, right there. You can see these highs at 208. This high right here, I would watch 208. If you haven't heard of the stars, it just means, yeah, you're just not part of Desi TA, man. Desi TA. That's where we got the stars. But anyways, 208 right here. I would be watching those highs today on NVIDIA. You're just stuck between this little 208, 203 zone, right? So let's see if we can get outside of it. AMD. Earnings tomorrow. Not going to be something I trade today. That's pretty much my end of story for you. I would love to get a pullback on AMD back to 245. I think that would be just an incredible opportunity. If I go to the 4-hour chart, you can see right here, there is a beautiful shelf waiting for us here at 245. This would be such a beautiful pullback long. Not sure we're going to get that. Probably just going to trade sideways today with earnings tomorrow. And so, yeah, just not interested. If you break under 253, possibly a look for the downside into 245. But if you just hold above 253 today, I'm going to assume you're going to reject these highs and you're going to see a bunch of this before earnings. So, yeah, not that interesting. Broadcom is a larger watch for me today. I do like this pullback on Broadcom. You guys can see right here on the 4-hour chart, we have a beautiful pullback long now, right? We have a pullback to the previous highs, and we have facilitated that pullback, right? We didn't chase the longs straight to the upside. We didn't get caught at the highs. We have waited for this to retrace back to the breakout point. Now this is interesting. So for me, I'm going to be watching Broadcom very closely today. I like the way it's holding back at this retest, which is right here. You can see these highs. You can see this consolidation. You can see our pullback into that zone. If you can reclaim 380 today, I love this long. This is a really nice reclaim level at 380. If you can see something like this, I would love to look for that upside move, that higher low formation back above 380. So big watch for me today. Broadcom over 380. Have my alert set. That's a watch. Frankie or Frank, thank you, brother. Thanks for joining the stream. Thanks for supporting the stream. MRVL has been on this sort of zombie grind upside move, but it's been very strong. Just not really a fan of MRVL at the moment, even though it has been very strong. Can't really see, too much clarity here, but 91 spot was a nice hold from Friday with a lot of volume, which is pretty nice. Over these highs, I would say that really is the only watch for me today, right here. If you can hold over this double top high, which is 94.75, if you get that hold, you might see that curl again off that level, or look for a deeper pullback into that 91 spot again. MU, not much of a watch. It did hold beautifully off our 220 level, but it's just sort of gone for me now. If you do see a hold above these highs, it could be a watch right here, right in here. highs, 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 and you can see right here, 232, 230. That could be a nice watch. Don't see the link? It's right down in the description below. It's literally the first link. It says 3-day live trading event registration. So right here, you can see highs, 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 highs. Maybe you can look for that area to hold today above 230, but that's a tight one. Keep an eye on it. See if 230 can really bounce. But that would really be it for me on MU today. Qualcomm. Love it. Long Qualcomm over the weekend. Looking good this morning. I am happy with the swing trade attempt. I am very pleased with my ability to execute this trade. This is just perfect. This is the perfect Desi trade, man. I mean, this, you know me. If you know me, this is my trade. It's textbook. So, I mean, just I have to take it. I mean, this is like something I can never look past. You can see it's the beautiful previous lows that turned into highs. It's the structure trade, structure. I mean, everything we talk about is worked into this trade. We talk about structure boxes. We talk about key levels, right? We talk about reclaims. We talk about the reclaim ripper, right? We talk about the break and retest. We talk about all of that. And this all is baked into this trade, right? You have structure one here. Structure one lows turned into structure two highs. You broke above that structure two high, turns it back into the lows right there. That is a reclaim of these highs right here. That is a reclaim ripper. That is a break and retest long, turning these lows and these highs back into lows. I mean, it's just perfect technical analysis trade, and very pleased to be long. We entered this on Friday right after the hold over 180. Instantly got paid on it, and it looks like we'll continue to get paid. Target here is 183.50, and above 183.50, target is 186. If we can turn these highs into new lows on a new structure, something like this, right, then that is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. If we can get that. That would be the reach goal up here at 186. If we can get something like this, holding above that into the next high, right, then you're starting to curl all the way back on this move and starting to really get a move going. Again, where was this also textbook trading strategy? We did not chase the upside move. We waited for it to retrace to the previous breakout point on the larger term time frames on the daily chart, and that is just such sick stuff. So love Qualcomm, very happy about it. If you're part of the group, congrats if you took it with me. I would continue to watch Qualcomm, by the way. It might not be over. The only downside of that trade is that there is earnings on Wednesday, so I will definitely look to exit majority. And you know what, man? If I get some nice profits, why not hold one contract to earnings? Why not? I mean, little cherry on top? Sure, I'll take it. TSM, very interesting today. This is actually a star trade for me today. I am slightly intrigued by this. A little bit, I mean, maybe I take that off the star watch, but it's not bad. I do like this reclaim, right? That's really what that's the major thing I'm watching. The other thing I love here is that you're holding the daily 20 again, right? Daily 20 breakout. Where do we come back to? Daily 20 again. And what did we do? We held it again. Previous highs here at 300, turning back into support here. This looks good to me, right? Daily 20, 300 reclaim, back above these highs. If we turn that into a low today, I like this back to the channel high at 308. That's definitely a watch for me today. I like that. Apple failed back under major highs. I don't like this. I actually like Apple for downside, if I was to be fully honest. This is a very telling rejection on Apple. You failed right back under the 273 spot. Look at this. Bam, breakout, back under, rejection again. So that door has been shut up there at 273. I don't really like Apple to the upside unless you get back over that. If anything, I think Apple should come back down to 260. I really do. Apple is not a stock that's going to extend 30% over its daily 20, okay? It's just simply not, guys. You have to understand that. Apple is not like a CRWV circle IPO straight up, oh my God, we're up 50% today, right? Apple is a very mature gentleman, and it's going to pull back to retracement points. And you can see on this entire ride higher, Apple pulled back to its daily 20 like 10 times, right? right here, right here, right here, pulled back to its daily 20. After extending over it, had a dump, reclaimed back above it. And I think you're definitely due for another pullback to that daily 20 at some point. And really, I mean, it would just be the best trade possible, right? So, I mean, what's the best trade possible here for me? It's pretty damn clear. Pull back to the high volume. Stop trading in this low volume shit up here. Right here, you can see this low volume nothingness. I think this pullback right here to these major previous highs, to the daily 20 SMA, to the high volume right here, that is just the absolute A-plus trade. So for me, I'm not looking to chase Apple here at all. I think downside is the right look. This is the right watch for Apple right here, 260. That really is the top watch right there. So I'm definitely keeping eyes on that. But for now, I mean, do I short Apple into that level? You could. You definitely could look to short Apple into that level. It does provide a high risk-reward trade, right? You could have a stop over that 273, targeting the 260 low. So there is high RR on that trade, right? Definitely. The problem is, do you want to short the market right now? That's the problem, right? Is it really shorting Apple is basically shorting a straight up macro uptrend. So it's just tough. It's tough. But that is a good look. Meta, nothing for me yet. I did dip buy some shares on Friday. I got 5 shares on Meta, so nothing crazy, but I did dip buy a little bit of Meta. I think this ultimately will be another major dip buy on Meta in the future, so I'm fine dip buying a few shares. Nothing that's going to make me go broke. But something I can look back and say, hey, great job, great buy, right? So sometimes it's just like, even if it's one share, man, you could just go back and say, hey, that was nice. I like that. Good buy. That's sort of my mindset here, because I'm not going to put size in this yet. Where I would get more size on Meta is if you can reclaim the 200 SMA. If you can get a nice reclaim back above the 200, back above these highs at 681, then I would get more interested. Netflix, another upside move that's interesting. If we can get over 1145, I would be looking for Netflix to come back strong. I still believe in Netflix long term. The stock split is very smart by them. It needs a stock split. I think that'll be very good for the stock. I think a lot of people will invest in Netflix because of that, actually, right? A lot of people it's funny, guys, right? Like the perception of something is very interesting, and it only really comes into play for people that aren't actively traders or aren't active investors, right? Because active investor understands it's the same thing, right? It's like, oh, it's the same percent. It makes no difference. And you can buy fractional shares. But when I talk to friends and I'm like, hey, I love Netflix, the first thing they say is, man, that's $1,100 a share. I can't buy that, right? And like that, it doesn't make sense because, hey, just buy a fractional share. Just put what you want in it. It doesn't make a difference, right? But that just doesn't, for some reason, it just doesn't line up with people's minds, right? The first thing they see is Netflix is too expensive. I can't buy that. So it really is a very interesting perception play. And typically stocks do perform because of a stock split, but hey, it really, at the end of the day, it's based on their business. And I would say, for me, a drop of 13% on earnings, I still think Netflix is a monopoly. So we'll see. I'm definitely going to be looking for some deals out there on Netflix. I'll tell you that on the long term. I'm deal hunting on Netflix. I'll be looking. This would be an awesome, guys, this is definitely the top watch of the day or of the week. Amazon pullback to these previous all-time highs. Please be paying attention to this. Possibly a little bit lower into these highs at 236.50. But I really, really think you should be paying attention to what Amazon does on a pullback to these all-time highs here. Between 239 and 242, that is right here. This is the same as Qualcomm, by the way. This is a beautiful retracement on Amazon back down to this 239, 242. Definitely a watch. You can see right here on the 4-hour chart, you have this high here. You have this high here. I like this pullback back to this area. Good retracement. On the weekly chart, that would be a hold above the major all-time highs, right? That is right here and right here. This high is 238.85. I'm actually going to put that at 238.85. That is a major weekly high. This high is 242.52. That is a major weekly high as well. If you can hold between those two weekly highs, I would assume you get upside continuation. If you can turn this high and this high into a pullback hold, I would look for that long. So definitely watching Amazon this week. Back to that zone. This is going to be on my charts all week. If you fail back under it, then you're coming down quickly. But this is definitely a watch to see if it can maintain. Google is next up. You can see Google is a good pullback to the 280. Not bad. However, I think this 258 is the best pullback. Do you get that? Probably not. I'm asking for a lot to look for a pullback back to 258. But that would be a retracement back to the daily 20. And if you guys know anything about our analysis, and if you actually watch the market, you will see that the market loves to pull back to the daily 20 at times. So it's something I will definitely be cautious of. I think that really is where the look at the shelf here, guys, right? Look at the volume profile. Volume profile picks up where? It picks up right here at 258. Guess what else is there? Those highs, and guess what else is there? The daily 20, right? So what is, right? This is the battle of what you know is the best trade versus your ability to wait for it. That is what this is, right? That is the current market in a nutshell. The current market in a nutshell is the best trade versus the FOMO trade, because I don't know if we're just going to keep going higher. That is the hard part about the trade right now in the market, right? Stocks just keep going higher. We know what the best trade is. There is no one that should disagree that this is the best trade. A pullback to this level, daily 20, previous highs, pullback long, that is 100% number one trading opportunity on Google. Now, does that mean that there's not a long off of 280 today? That does not mean that, right? This could go straight up off 280 again. So it's very difficult right now to either decide, am I going to wait for the trade I know is the best, or am I going to get a little bit handsy on a few, aggressive looks? And that is what you have to decide right now. If you get handsy on a few aggressive looks, you also need to accept that at some point, right, if you get stuck in like the drop, you're going to have to say, well, I got handsy. And that's the loss that I have to stomach now. Because, yeah, I get it now, right? Google's dropping through low volume. It's just coming back to the retest level. And, unfortunately, I got long too high. So it's a tough battle. It's a tough mental battle. This is what we talked about on my Friday, or my video I posted on Saturday. It's a very tough mental battle right now. Do you want to get long at these elevated levels because you feel like it's just going to keep going, which it very well could, or do you want to wait for the A+? So hard, right? So hard. But for Google, 280 is the spot, 272 is the next spot, 267 is the next spot, and the best spot is 258. We'll see which one we get. Hood was awesome, and of course, Hood went straight up out of the gates on Friday. I mean, it's just ridiculous. This was my top watch heading into Friday, and I just could not find myself an entry. Unfortunately, it went vertical off the open. I hate the first 1 minute straight up candles. I hate them. I hate these candles so much. It just sort of throws off my entire trading day. But Hood was, what a beautiful watch. We tracked this thing through this entire move. I hope you guys were listening when we talked about the pullback long to the daily 20 being the best opportunity. And here you go, right? Here is your example of why I say what I say. Here is your pullback to the daily 20 on Hood providing an opportunity, all right? Instead of longing at these highs when you're hoping and praying that you're going to break out, and hopefully you're going to get a breakout of these highs, why not wait for it to pull back to the daily 20, right? Why not wait for it to pull back to the previous rejection point? Right there. Boom. All right? But unfortunately, it doesn't mean you're going to find an entry, but at least I didn't long Hood here and didn't lose money, right? There's a win, right? Yes, I didn't unfortunately catch this, which I'm very upset about. really. I really wanted this trade. But at the same time, my patience and thesis that I was waiting for also stopped me from longing at these highs and being wrong. So that is a win in itself. But today, Hood 150, that's really it. Palantir, I got nothing for you. It's straight up in the earnings tonight. Good luck. I mean, beautiful for the shares, but I'm not going to be trading it today. Oklo staying weak. 130 is the big key level today. ASTS, I still believe we are going to be paid on this trade. I am staying long ASTS on December contracts. I still hold them, and I still think we're going to get paid here. This is a very nice reclaim of that 75 spot. You can see right here, structure, and I'm waiting for that next structure move. This looks good to me still. APP looks, I mean, just perfect on the structure as well. Look at that structure. Look at this structure. You do have earnings this week, so a little bit cautious there, but this hold at 619 is very interesting. And here we go. Shout out Arthur from the mentorship group. I want to give him credit on this one because he brought it up to the group yesterday in our Sunday prep. This is a very interesting stock, and I'm going to be tracking the stock from this point forward. Zoom. If there was ever an example of accumulation at a low, this would be your example, right? So you can see here on the volume profile, look at the accumulation that has gone on. Look at how big this volume shelf is here. Look at the accumulation that has gone on between the $50 and pretty much $90 level. You have accumulated an absurd amount of volume down here with very low volume to the upside. And I still think that Zoom is a very good company, and it is very much prominent in my everyday life. So that is something I typically look for. Is it prominent in my everyday life? Zoom absolutely is, and Zoom is a very lucrative business in my opinion. They do, we have earnings approaching. We'll have to see. Last quarter, they raised, expects revenue. Okay, that wasn't a raise. Yeah, they did raise. So they raised guidance last quarter. They beat estimates. They have earnings approaching middle of November. And I think there is a very interesting shelf here that would be a very interesting trade on Zoom. If Zoom can get back above 90, this weekly shelf here, which has been a weekly shelf, by the way, since 2022, right? That is 3 years. If you can break out of this 90 high that we've been under for 3 years, I think you're going to see 124 quickly. Yeah, I mean, that is true, Nick. And first of all, Nick, thank you for joining the live stream. But that is true. They don't have a moat. It's very replicable. But I also think they continue to beat the test of time. I really do. Like, at least in my opinion. And I could be wrong. But I still, and I'm very, I do a lot of online stuff, guys, in terms of like video calls. And Zoom never has been beat for me. Zoom always outperforms everything else I use. I use the Circle live stream for our mentorship group. It's not as good as Zoom. I use the Discord chat. It sucks versus Zoom. Discord sucks. Zoom is better. What else have we used? There's more. What else have I used? Oh my God. Microsoft Teams is not bad. Like Google Meet's not bad. Google Meet definitely is good. I still think that Zoom. I'm gonna watch this. Let's put it at that. Right? We're early. I don't know yet, but we're watching this. I'm keeping an eye. WAP sucks. Definitely that. Yes. Zoom is better every single time I try something new, and I don't know. Something to watch. Technically, it's something to watch. All right, that's for sure. This technical setup is definitely something to watch. So keep an eyes on this, man. Keep an eyes. Got my alert set. Something I want to be paying attention to. I think an opportunistic read. Opportunistic read for sure. Okay. All right. That is your little dark horse. That's the dark horse for you. I'm going to be watching that. I probably won't update you again on it, but I'll be keeping updates in the group. So just keep that on the dark horse list. All right, guys, if you guys could, please press that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're here every single day, Monday through Friday. Friday, we do giveaways, so make sure to show up on Fridays for the giveaway. Make sure to put your attendance in the description below. Submit your attendance. What else? That's it. If you want to trade live with me today, go down below. Press the trade live with me. Are we still doing a 3-day trial on that? I don't think so. But I will say this. You guys know you guys know that the only time we do discounts on the group is Black Friday. That's the only time you'll ever see a discount from me. So Black Friday is approaching. Appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great trading day. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace and love.